What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Lioness Lair, football talk for the female fan. We're here again. Boy, would I love to have at least one show at Detroit Lions on the Prowl or the Lioness Lairs where we didn't have to go on a rant, but here we are again. Joining me tonight is my lovely co-host, Lady Lionor. How you doing tonight?
I've been better. How are you, Val?
I'm doing just peachy keen. I can't even enjoy. I can't enjoy the Lions and I can't enjoy the Bears. So what am I supposed to do here tonight? I have no idea. It's Halloween, whatever. The Bears uniform scared me enough, looking like giant pumpkins out on the field. So we'll just leave that one at that.
Oh,
So
I have to go look at them now.
oh, they blinded me. It was too much orange on the field. Okay, but anyway. And they look like giant traffic cones. Anyhow, um, so we might as well have some fun with it. So we're here to talk about to recap, the Lions lost today, 31-27 against the Dolphins. They did start out strong. I'll have to admit that the first half looked really, really good. And then, of course, we ended up having the typical SOL third quarter. And it went downhill from there. So, Lady Lionor, what kind of insights did you grab out of this game?
Yeah, I mean the first half was exciting. Kind of I don't know about historically exciting, but there were 592 yards of total offense in the first half. That's a league record for the year. So both teams were scoring. The Dolphins pretty much couldn't have scored in the first quarter without a flag coming in to convert third down for them. That was good. I don't know. Shout out to special teams. I mean, who the hell is DJ Moore with that 13-yard fake punt run? That was awesome. I don't even know who DJ Moore is. I think we just picked him up from the Texans or someone this past week.
I thought it was
I mean,
CJ. Was it
hmm,
CJ or DJ?
is no idea. Never heard of him until tonight.
I
So
think
I
I've
don't
heard the
know.
name before, but I can't remember from where.
Nope.
But yeah,
Maybe
hey,
someone will tell us. I don't know. I mean, the first punt of the game was at a minute 49 remaining in the half. Nobody had punted up to that point. So and then it was a fake. Like nobody punted in the first half. It was fun. It made it
yeah,
fun.
that was a gutsy call by Campbell. One of two gutsy calls he made tonight. The second one being a complete failure, but we'll get to that one in a little bit. Um, let's see. There were a couple of Jamal Williams touchdowns.
Mhm.
That was a good thing. They were up by 10 at the half.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean Jamal, he tied a franchise record for the most rushing TDs through the first 8 games. He had his seventh touchdown on the first drive, and then he did something else too. He with his eighth touchdown, what did he do? That was tied for most rushing touchdowns on the year or something from running back. So yeah, he did fine.
we've seen Rodrigo get his first NFL quarterback sack tonight,
Yeah,
and also recovered that fumble.
yeah.
Um, let's see. Raymond had a 27-yard pass at the beginning of the game, or pass run. Um, Juju Hughes made his debut, filling in for hurt Deshaun Elliott, and he seemed to have a great game today.
Yeah, there were a number of passes. He certainly didn't have the worst day. Every time it was third and something, and Tua, you know, complete to Tyreek Hill, complete to Jalen Waddle. Every time I looked up, it was AJ Parker, man. How you match up AJ Parker on either of those guys, it's just such a mismatch. He is
But
just,
who on the Lions team do you match up that would be better?
yeah, I don't know, because AO had himself a rough day too. Akuda again, just like they did last week. He was up in the box a lot. He was playing the run, and he's been really good at that. But he wasn't playing a lot of man today. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I haven't given up. I still love this team. I just we're at a point where you kind of have two choices. You get really, really mad every single week, or you just kind of kick back and decide you're going to be patient and see this thing out. And that leads to a certain level of apathy. And I'm kind of there. I'm kicking back, enjoying what there is to be enjoyed out of the game. And when we lose, I'm just not going to get mad about it anymore. And we basically didn't show up for the second half.
Shout out to Lions Talk with Casey, Randall Cook, John Doe, Tim the Maniac from Maniac Sports, and Tornado and El Torre for hanging out with us tonight. We're glad you're here. The thing is, here's the thing: when you're talking about the apathy situation, Sheila Ford earlier this week was talking about the Lions fans shouldn't hit the panic button quite yet. I think that panic button has been long pressed long ago. I don't know. What were your thoughts as far as that was, as Sheila speaking out?
I heard a lot of people criticize the move. I do think there's a reason she gave Brad Holmes a 5-year contract and Dan Campbell a 6-year one. I think when this all started, they all sat down and they laid out a plan. They really were on the same page about what this was going to look like. And I do think this was a 4 or 5-year thing. I don't think she's as concerned as the rest of us are. And I think the timing of everything was very, very strange, right? It's their second year. It's really their first full year because the first year when they came in really late. They didn't really get the whole off season to do the kind of research that they wanted to do. They've really only had one full off season. And then we had Hard Knocks and everyone got really pumped up. And then they came out against the Eagles and they hung. We looked really good, and we beat the Commanders and we hung with the Vikings. We felt like we should have won them. And then we put up 45 points on the Seahawks. And it just gave everybody this level of optimism that was clearly unfounded, right? So now everyone's really, really disappointed. And I understand that, but I don't think Sheila's quite obviously she's disappointed, but I don't think she's nearly as worried as we are. I don't think anyone's job is on the line.
I don't think she's worried either because I think that was the plan in the beginning. But the problem was that when she went out to speak out on this, it pretty much broke the delusion a lot of Lions fans wanted to live under, because it wasn't really clear. But when Brad Holmes first came in on the scene, he had brought it up that this was a retool, not a rebuild. It wasn't going to take a long time. We only needed a few players. We're going to make it happen that year. And I think a lot of fans kind of held on to that and hoping that it wasn't going to be a long-term thing.
I feel like he had to have misspoke or saying that was a mistake because, like you're a content creator and I'm not really only on here with you, but I pay an inordinate amount of attention to the Lions in the off season, more than your average fan. And we were all under the impression this was a full down to the studs rebuild. Nobody really thought this was just a retool where you were going to bring in some different pieces and do things a little differently. I mean, they wiped everything out.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that
when they were making those actions, we knew it was that then. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, we were, it's just like you're hoping things move a little bit faster at least than they are. No,
see, we were all really realistic about it in the off season.
I think a lot of hardcore fans knew the truth because anytime you get a new GM and a new head coach, it's a rebuild. For the Lions, it's a build because you have to have something to rebuild if you're going to rebuild. But so when you got new guys coming in, it's going to be either a build or a rebuild.
But we knew they were going to be really bad. We talked all off season about this secondary, about how bad they were. And listen, we got sucked in too. We got sucked into the Hard Knocks hype. And then think about the beginning of the season, what we were all saying. We were saying, yes, this is full rebuild, but hey, we think they're ahead of schedule on their rebuild. Well, I don't think so anymore, obviously, because they're clearly not. But I don't know that they're behind schedule either. One of the things I took away from last week and this week, I know there was a lot of bad, but there are a few players who are clearly emerging as sort of key foundational pieces to build around. Those are the players that I expect are still going to be there in 4 and 5 years. And there's a whole lot of players who are on these 1 year deals, and that's probably all they're going to get. I don't think a lot of those guys will be back next year. But this was a trial and error year. We knew there was going to be a lot of error. We knew the error was going to be frustrating, and here we are.
Absolutely. Like Tornado says here, just as I think that Sheila, if I can get it to work, I think Sheila should have not come out. The length of leader contract speaks for it all. And you know what? I'm on there too. That I don't think that she should have spoken out. I think she should have just left good enough alone. We already knew what the truth was. I don't see where that actually benefited. I mean, a lot of Lions fans like to see her have like the fact that she did come out to speak, because you never saw that from Martha Ford. You never saw that from, any of the Fords before like that in the middle of the season. So at least that was something, but I think it backfired on her. It didn't really accomplish what she sent out to do, to be honest.
Yeah, I think she was seeing the frustration from fans, and she wanted everyone to know that she is involved, that this is affecting her too. It's not just a business that she doesn't care about. She really cares about the team. I don't know that there was a huge downside. Like, she may be taking a little bit of criticism for it, but the people criticizing her just think she shouldn't have done it. It doesn't really make them feel any worse. And I actually appreciated it. I appreciate the fact that ownership is as frustrated as I am, and that she's involved, and she's clearly not going to sit on her hands. If she needs to make moves, she's going to make moves. It feels like
That's
she's
what
looking at
annoyed me
everything.
about her. That's the one thing that did annoy me about her speech, was saying that she was as frustrated. She was frustrated like the Lions fans. Because
Why?
listen, look. If you know your plan is long term,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you already have your long term plan pretty much strategized. You should know that this is where you're at right now is a very strong possibility that this is where you're going to be. So how in the world are you frustrated?
Because
Like,
it's frustrating to go out there and watch them lose week after week.
well, you have it
How is it? How
planned
would
in
she
your
not be
you
frustrated?
have it planned in your long-term strategy to lose week after week, because that's how you set up your strategy. So what are you frustrated about, lady? I'm
I don't
sorry.
think anyone thought we were going to be 1-6.
I
I
can
don't.
see the fans being frustrated because
She's a
the
fan.
fans.
That's why so many people love her now as the owner, because she's a fan.
We got Micro Mike in here talking about that you should either be the mascot or the GM, and I should be the head coach.
I'll be the mascot. I
and
don't want
Mark
to make those decisions.
and Mark Malik, we are not going to talk about draft at all on this channel
Not yet.
anytime until after the combine. It's a written rule. We've already did this before and started draft talk early and burnt the crap out of ourselves. We are not doing that till after the combine. Sorry to burst your bubble, but you will never hear us talk draft talk so here on this channel. Not until the combine.
Yeah.
So hey, Stephen Forrest, your buddy Stephen Forrest is here, the world's biggest
What's up,
Lions
Steve?
fan.
Did the Patriots win today? Did the Patriots beat the Jets today?
Oh,
Hold
let me
on.
put up the scores because we have the scores to keep you guys
Patriots beat the
updated.
Jets. Congratulations, Steve. That's a big division win.
Yeah,
Patriots are now 4-4.
we're gonna put up those scores for you so that you can see what's been happening across the league. But what happened to my comments? Okay. I lost my comments. Okay, but yeah. So getting back to this game.
Yeah. Okay, so can I complain about something with this game? Because I've complained
Sure.
about it over and over. And the most glaring example happened today. And I just sort of threw my hands up and it was like, what the hell? It was 2nd and 30. So Goff threw it to Swift behind the line of scrimmage. I I'll never understand that. And then immediately afterward, he followed it with a screen to Swift for 3 yards, again behind the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 27. What the hell? I mean, they just it felt like they gave up. It felt like coming out of halftime, and we were up at halftime. We were up coming out of the half. It felt like Miami came out and made adjustments. Maybe they thought they didn't need to make adjustments because offensively they've been moving the ball and playing fine. They really seemed to come out of the half with no energy, and I could feel it. I was getting bored during the second half of that game. Like I laid down, I almost fell asleep,
They
and
came
there was
out with
no
the same.
energy on the
They
field.
came out with. Why are they coming out in the second half every single week with switching the game plan to what they know doesn't work? The deep passes to Goff.
Mhm.
Yes, he did it. He got a couple of them
Yeah,
in,
he had a couple. He had a couple successes today, but
but it's not the norm. Why are you doing it? You brought back the blind ballerinas in the backfield again this week.
all right. So
Akuda was
let's
getting
look at the
burnt.
play breakdown here because I know what you mean. They actually threw it a lot. So in the first quarter, they threw it 10 times and ran it 4 times in the first quarter. In the second quarter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 passes in the second quarter to 8 runs. There were only 2 runs in the third quarter to 5 passes. Man, the third quarter was rough. The second half was really, really rough.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. They go and their run game is their strength. They
And then
switch
there
it
were
to
9 passes to 6 rushes at the end. So yeah, they did not abandon the run, but they started passing it a lot more. And Jamal was having himself a day. Swift was clearly he's not 100%. He was on a pitch count, but at least having him out there, it makes defenses move differently. You do want to have him out there. I don't know why it's not like they were playing from behind. They were ahead. So I don't know why they came out of the half and decided they were just going to throw the ball all over the place, as if Goff is the kind of quarterback that can carry a team through a half.
no.
Which,
I,
listen, today wasn't Goff's fault. Like I'm not blaming today on Goff.
no, I'm not really blaming today on Golf. Hey, Grandizer, I see you in the chat today. Yes, Micro Michelle should have showed up today on the Linus Lair. We should have had him.
Congratulations,
Yes,
Grandizer, on the
congratulations,
big win.
Grandizer, on the win. You guys definitely deserve that win. And
Yeah.
what was crazy about that thing, what was crazy about this game was the excessive amount of penalties that the referees were throwing across the field. It was like they were getting paid per flag to throw them. You know, uh,
And a lot of them don't even show up on the final tally because they were declined. But the second quarter in particular, poor Miami. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
there was like at
6,
least
7, 8,
11.
9 in the second quarter alone.
There were at least 11 declined penalties by Miami, because I know there were 9, and then they had a couple
9,
after
10,
that.
11. Yep, there were 11 declined penalties from Miami.
Yeah, and it was like, what? And the Lions can't capitalize on that.
Not only could we not capitalize, we weren't particularly mistake prone. And then, right when we needed no mistakes, when we really needed to keep drives alive, all of a sudden, false start, holding, false start, false start. Sewell and Decker, man, they both
Yeah,
had a
there
couple rough
were
ones.
penalties with them. You had Brock Wright getting a concussion.
Yep.
You had Reynolds with incomplete passes.
Even Amon-Ra had a couple drops.
Amon-Ra had a couple of drops. You know, you had a Warrior. Why is he ever out there again? Come on now.
He and
2
AJ
penalties in a
Parker.
row. One
Yeah,
right
every
at the
time
1
we
yard
got
line.
burned, it was Oruwariye and AJ Parker just over and over and over, and we just kept getting burned. Who in their right mind puts AJ Parker on Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill.
Akuda was getting burnt
Yeah,
like left and right in the second half.
he was
It was
good in the
just
run again. He had
he
his
was good
moments.
at first, but then he just completely was getting his butt kicked from one end of the field to the other. Once everything started to fall apart, uh, and it was just like, what in the daylights was this game about? It's like they didn't even bother to show up. I'm kind of here with Ryan. I love this comment. Ryan Zerke. I'd rather clean up the dog poop in my backyard than watch this team.
That's the problem. At the beginning of the season, we talked about how everyone has all this hope and optimism, and it's around week 6 or 7 when we're all brought crashing back down to earth. And yeah, it's about that time. It's
It's
week 8. We came crashing down a couple weeks ago, and this is where we will remain for the rest of the season. It's hard being a Lions fan. It's just difficult.
The one thing that I thought was completely amazing with this game is that the Detroit Lions themselves had the audacity after the game to post on their social media Facebook account that it was a frustrating loss and it's time to get back to work. When did you ever start working? This is what we want to know. The
Time to
inquiring
get
minds
back to
want to
work.
know. Inquiring minds want to know, when did you get to work?
Well, and they're implying that by getting back to work, they can come back and achieve a different result, which apparently they can't.
You
I don't know,
know,
there were some of the stat categories weren't all that different. I mean, we were hanging. We were ahead of this team. That first half, we were really, really dominant. Now, we didn't score a point in the second half, and they had 14 unanswered, but you know, passing first downs and rushing first down. Like we were right there with them. I think the Dolphins had 18 passing first downs. We had 13. They had 8 rushing first downs. We had 7. Here's where it gets bad. Third down efficiency. And we know we're not good at this, but we were 4 for 9. Miami was excuse me. Miami was 8 for 12. It's like every time they had a third down, I knew they were going to get it. I didn't even have any hope that we were going to stop them on third down. I tracked all the third downs today just to see what would happen. And
what was the third down conversion? Do you know? What was the stats on that?
how many did we get?
Yeah, did we go 0-6 and 0-5 like we have been the past few weeks?
No. I mean, third down, we went 4 for 9.
Oh, so we actually improved.
Yeah. I mean, we
Okay.
got a couple third downs. I mean, the problem is when you let the other team go 8 for 12, when they can convert,
Well,
66%.
compared to going to 0-6 and 0-5, where I think that's a
Well, that was fourth down. Oh, I will say we kicked and we punted and we didn't go for it on fourth down. We went for it on fourth down, that 2 yards, and they decided to throw it deep to Reynolds as if he ever catches those, and that's a good idea on 4th and 2.
why do they insist that golf can deep pass?
Was that Goff, you think? Or was that a call?
That was golf. Well, it was both. It was both, to be honest. I
You
don't think that.
needed,
I think it was right to Reynolds, and Reynolds missed it. I know there was
yeah.
one play where Reynolds, it was right in his hands and he in the end zone and he missed it. And I'm not sure if it was that play
Listen,
or another.
you needed 2 yards, and it was a short 2. You have Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift on your team. Jamal Williams wasn't even on the field for that play. How did you not have him on the field at 4th and 2? And you decide Jared Goff decides he's going to throw it to the end zone on 4th and 2? I don't know who to blame for that. I don't know if
I
it was a
blame
Ben
Dan
Johnson
Campbell.
call or.
No, it wasn't. It was a Dan Campbell call. That was a Dan Campbell move. Dan Campbell, you could see on the sidelines Dan Campbell making that decision. That was a clear-cut Dan Campbell decision.
Did you listen to the post-game press conference?
No, I did not.
Okay, I missed the post-game stuff. My daughter's in town and we were watching Halloween movies. I wonder if that was addressed. Somebody had to have asked about that, about
You
the
could,
decision making on that 4th down. I mean, not the decision to go for it. It was the right decision to go for it, but the play call.
yeah. I mean, they had no choice but to go for it if they were going to have any chance of success. It's the way that they went for it was the wrong decision.
Yeah.
And then one of our Wall of Fame members was mentioning that, well, do you think that we can uh, run the clock out for about 4 minutes? I'm like, no, you're not running the clock out for 4 minutes. That's just not going to happen. Not with the Lions. That's just not going to happen. Now, I was hoping that maybe they would get to a point where they would just, because they did kind of like give it away to the Dolphins there, with that amount of time left. If they could have stopped them there, they could have had every opportunity to come back and score a touchdown or field goal, or they would have needed a touchdown at the point. But but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, there were some bright spots. I mean, you said Malcolm Rodriguez. He had some really, really great flashes today. The fumble recovery, the sack. He had a tackle for loss. I think he ended up with 7 tackles. Hold on. Yeah, 7 total, 5 solo. Somehow, Amani Oruwariye is at the top of the tackles list with 8. Every time I saw him, dude was
Every
getting
time I
burned.
see him, he is getting burned, or he's causing penalties, or he's just causing massive amounts of problems.
Well, I can't tell you how many times I wrote the exact same thing, and it was there'd be some big reception by Waddle or Hill, and I would rewind it, and who's on him? And it was either AJ Parker or it was Oruwariye, and he was 6 to 8 feet back of where he should have been. And I understand you never want to let the receiver get behind you. Yes, that's true, but you need to tighten up the coverage a little bit. He was never ever in a position to stop those receptions ever. Yeah, and then even making tackles after the catch, he would struggle. I mean, that's something that some of the other guys are okay at. Or Warrior, not necessarily, because he's so far off him that it gives him a chance to get around him.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to fit in with the rest of the defense very well.
Hey, Kirby Joseph showed up again.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Everybody's like, oh, he just needs to do it 1,000 more times before Val will love him. Like Val is never going to love him. But okay,
we'll see. We'll see. Nope. Kid's going to be a superstar. I want to see you in a Joseph jersey.
You know what my response was? You know what? The Lions can make anybody look good playing at the Pee Wee level they're on.
All right.
So
no need to be mean.
That's it.
I mean, it's true, but you don't need to say stuff like that.
Okay, did I say that out loud? My bad. Anywho, now I have to give some credit to Hutchinson tonight. I was watching him, and he was getting like 4 or 5 guys on him and just barreling through them on many plays. I mean, and these were big guys. To be able to just shrug them off to keep going was pretty impressive, I thought.
The number of holds they didn't call on Hutch, I was so annoyed. It was like over and over. Every time I looked up, there were a few times where I would go back and rewatch some of the plays just because I wanted to watch different players. Hutch was being held all day long, and I don't think it was called once.
Nope. I know that there was one holding penalty, and there were 2 holding penalties that I know of, and they were both on solo. But I don't remember any of the Dolphins getting a holding. I think there was 1 or 2 holding penalties, but it wasn't on Hutch. The other thing that I noticed that was missing was there was a few plays where there was no pass interference call that should have been.
I can't figure out what they're doing with pass interference anymore, because this whole season, there's a bunch of times where I felt like it should have been called and it never is. There's a whole bunch of contact. They're getting in guys' faces and they're not turning around and playing the ball, but they're not calling it. And they've been consistently not calling it. So it looked like that was, a memo that went out, was they were really going to ease up on that. And then I've seen some games just the past few weeks where all of a sudden ticky-tack DPIs being called. So I never know what they're going to do with pass interference. I feel like they never call it when they should anymore.
Can we talk about this Detroit, the lost Detroit challenge? Since when did a catch need 3 steps to be a catch?
Yeah, it's 3 football moves? I don't know. I don't think it's 3 steps. I think it's like three
No,
football moves.
it was
But
the ref
tucking it
said
counts as a move.
it was because there were not 3 steps. And I was like,
Is Micro Mike
and
still
I
in the
thought
chat?
I was under the assumption it was 2 steps and a football move.
I just thought it was 3 football moves. So that could have been like tucking it in 2 steps or yeah, I mean I thought he had a catch. I thought that was a catch.
And it was, yeah, I swear it was a catch. And I was like, what the hell is this up with 3? So you need 3 steps now. What the frick? You know? And like Jim used to say, he said, do you need it signed, autographed, and notarized for it to be a catch? You know, I mean,
Only if you're a Lion.
if you're a Lions fan, that's what you need. Um,
Yep.
and I have to give a what the fuck to the broadcast network today. If you were paying close attention, I went, what are they doing with the graphic card for Jamal Williams? They
I
put
wasn't
his
paying
name on
attention.
there. They put his name on there as JAMA period. There was plenty of room on this graphic card to write Jamal. And you put JAMA period. Like, it hurts you to put 2 extra L's on this card.
Lions get no respect. Yeah.
Oh my God. I was like, what is going on with this card?
Yeah. I don't really pay attention to them all that much. I tend to turn the sound off and I'm listening to Micro Mike stream the game. So I don't really know what the broadcast does.
Yeah, I did happen to notice it, and it happened, and they kept putting it up, and they kept putting it up, and they kept putting it up the same way. Like, why? Like everybody else's wasn't that way, but just his. Did he request this? I mean, did
Yeah.
does he want to eliminate L's from his name so he doesn't is associated with losing, or what's the connection here? Yeah, and people are in the chat are talking about the second holding penalty on Sewell that was really ticky tack. I mean, that was not even
Yeah.
holding penalty.
Well, especially because of all the ones that they weren't calling. Yeah. It was almost like they were looking for it.
Especially, it just the whole flags for this game was ridiculous. There did not need to be this many flags in this game. I swear it's the most penalized game I've ever watched. I saw the referees more than I saw the players on the field. What the hell?
There were a lot of penalty interruptions. A lot of them ended up being declined. But, I'd be complaining about it if it just happened to us. But the Dolphins were getting called for everything. And then they weren't actually getting called for the stuff that mattered and the stuff that was really happening that we would have accepted.
Yeah. Let's see. Michael Huck says the what the fuck moment for me was a Lions penalty after Miami failed on third
Yes,
down,
they
and no one knows
they
who the penalty
didn't
was
tell
on.
us the number.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
That's what there was just this phantom penalty where like, we're not going to tell you who did it, and it was a momentum call too.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the hell, is going on with this stuff? Well, of course, we have the referee tonight who loves to usually be against the Lions. So he's been very controversial against the Lions for quite a few years. So we're going to take it that it's okay that he went the other way with the Dolphins today. But
yeah, they normally try not to bring certain officiating crews back if they were involved in a controversial call in the past. I guess after a certain amount of time, you kind of have to.
Oh, this one's been is notorious in Detroit for being a pain in the ass. Let's just so what it is, what it is. I think he loves to look at himself on camera because with as many calls that were called tonight, it's just you're so vain. I'll probably throw a flag just at you. Okay, Jesus. Um, I don't know what else to say about this game tonight. Um, Decker getting false starts. That was just like, what the heck? Oh, the no penalty on the contact with the golf slide.
Yeah, considering they call roughing the passer now if you accidentally bump the quarterback's shoulder. Yeah, that was a little surprising. Listen, they weren't being inconsistent. So even in the moment, I think, didn't the commentator say something about it in the moment, how they were a little surprised that wasn't called?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I really just think the refs suck at their jobs. Really, I just think they're bad at their jobs. And as long as they're consistently inconsistent and it doesn't just all go against the Lions, I'm just chalking it up to incompetence. So,
Yeah, Granddad are saying it was a trip to hear both Micro Mike and my Dolphins content creator. Both were calling off the ref with poor calls.
yeah.
Yeah. And Tornado. I love you, Tornado. You're always here for us. I'm so glad I have at least your show to look forward to regarding my Lions. Thanks for making our loss less miserable. Aw, we
Yeah,
tried.
Val and I, we don't even get mad about it anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing with Detroit Lions on the prowl. We try to be as neutral as possible. Like we want to make it to where we show you the positives and the negatives together. It's not we're not overdosing on Heaven's Gate Honolulu Kool-Aid. We're not, and we're not SOL quite yet. And but and by the way, please, Lions fan base, stop bashing people who call this team SOL. They have every right to say so until this team wins. I'm sorry you can't handle the truth and that you don't like it, but it ain't their fault. Okay.
It is amazing how we can go through ownership changes and management changes and coaching changes. And this team seems to be the same year after year. They can't close out games. They fall apart near the end. I don't understand how this team, it's not the same players, it's not the same coaches, but they do the same thing they've always done year in and year out. It's
And
pretty
see, the
incredible.
thing is, the thing is I hear a lot of Lions fans already say we need to fire everybody, sell the team, blah blah blah.
Mm-mm.
Firing everybody is not the answer. What happens when you fire everybody? You have to bring some new people in. Guess what happens when you bring new people in? You get rid of everybody that's been on the team and then you put new people on their thing and all you're doing is repeating the same vicious cycle, the same vicious cycle. You're doing build mode. This is how you got to build mode since 1957.
Yeah, this year has been particularly rough because we're in year two of it. It's clearly not going well. We are not ahead of schedule, if we're even on schedule. And we have to watch, Sala and Dable over with the two New Jersey teams. And they're coming in and being successful. We're seeing Kevin O'Connell come into Minnesota year one and be successful. And that's what we keep saying as Lions fans is you have to be patient and you have to give them time and it's all brand new. And I think that's always been a pretty good argument, but it doesn't fly this year because we're watching a bunch of teams do things that fly in the face of that logic.
Yeah,
And
that
listen,
fly
I
that
am
fly
being
in the face
patient,
of 6 years.
but
That fly in the face of 6 years to build a team. What other
yes.
team have you know? What other team in NFL history has taken 6 years with the same GM and the same coach to build a team?
Oh, I don't know if it was the same GM and I don't know. I mean, I know the Bengals before they went to the Super Bowl last year. I know everyone likes to say it was year two. No, it was year two of Joe Burrow. Um, they had been building prior to that for like 4 years. Like they did go through a full build, but I don't know if they had any kind of continuity in the front office or not. So
Yeah, but you haven't seen 6 years. And
yeah, it's
so
a long
it's
time.
when you're looking at a fan base that has already experienced what if I say what's the math between 1957 and 2022?
Oh, I should know this because
Okay.
my mom was born that year, so I
So
should
there
know
was
this off the top of my head, but
43
I
plus
don't.
43 plus 22 is what? 65 years or whatever it
Hmm.
is. Um yeah, 65 years of building, it should be built by now.
I consider it a new era when Sheila took over because I don't
Yeah,
think her parents viewed the team the same way that she does. I don't think they
true.
cared the way she does.
I think she deserves the benefit of the doubt for now.
I
Um,
understand why everyone wants the Fords to sell, but one, they're never selling. And two, Sheila's not her parents.
mhm.
I
Yeah,
think everyone just think there's a Ford curse. So,
and really, if you look at it, this is the first full year of a build.
yes, it is.
So it last year kind of doesn't really count. Um, because
Well,
last year,
that first off season doesn't really count as a full off season.
well, you're looking at the year. You're not really building anything. The first year anyway was a
Yeah,
teardown. So it really wasn't building anything because they were tearing everything down. They hadn't done
that's
anything.
true.
So this is the first. So it's kind of to be expected. It's not less, and I could see your point of not pushing the panic button. I don't think that there's a panic button to be pushed. I do see problems with the way Holmes and Dan Campbell are addressing the situation that could have a significant impact in the future of how this team is built and whether or not that this 6 year uh, project is successful or not. You can't be giving Dan Campbell these aggressive plays when you've got players that like you've had what Kurt was saying like last week. There's $13 million sitting in injured reserve.
Yeah.
You've got you and the talent you've got on the field is mediocre at best for the most part outside of a few guys. You can't be doing this kind of stuff. You can't be sitting here and telling the fan base with a defense as bad as it is that linebackers aren't worth the money.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't think Brad Holmes has ever come out and said
Yes, he
that.
did.
When did he say that?
He said he said that earlier in the year where linebackers aren't worth that type
I
of
know
money.
I heard him say it's a position that there are some positions he feels like you can get
Linebacker is
great
not the
value for
is
them
linebacker
in the later rounds.
linebackers is not worth the positional value that high up in the draft is what I'm saying. But which technically can be right in most circumstances when you already have an established team. But if you have a tear down, that is not the attitude to take. What are you going to do? Now you need, okay, I am going to bring up draft, but now you have you're coming into this draft with, and all these fans want to have a quarterback. Sorry, I did the evaluation. They're second string at best for the most part. So if you think you're getting a franchise quarterback next year, you can kiss your patootie goodbye on that one. It's just not going to happen. Now, can you get a great backup quarterback? There's some guys there, but okay. So okay, what are you getting? Well, how are you building this team if you don't believe that anything on your defense is worth getting that high up? So you're going to be able to get those guys lower down. You're going to get them in free agency. What are you doing?
Are you
Because
just talking about linebacker?
you
Or are you talking
have to
about
address
other decision, other
you have to
positions?
address both quarterback, you have to address linebacker, you have to address defensive back, you have to address cornerback, you're going to do all of that in the next in the next off season? Because you're not doing it right now. You know, all of this stuff is an immediate need. You're really going to
Yeah.
pull all that off?
I mean, between free agency and the draft, no, I mean, I think you certainly need two more full off seasons to get the personnel in place, but you should be able to have enough personnel in place after another free agency and draft cycle to where you can win games. You may not be a Super Bowl contender, but there's no reason you can't be at that 500 and above final record level to where you are in contention for the playoffs. We should be able to be there next year. They have enough sort of key pieces in place now to where adding a few more on each side of the ball at key positions.
But
Yeah,
then
I
again, they
they're
got to get rid of a whole bunch because you got a whole bunch of guys that are doing jack squat.
yeah, and most of them are on 1 year deals, so we're going to be in a position to get rid of them.
Yeah,
They
but
planned for that.
you gotta fill those spots if you get rid of them.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you don't have depth in those spots where you do have key positional guys.
No, and you may see some of the guys who are on 1 year deals, like Anzalone as an example. I don't want him out there as a starting linebacker, but if he's on the team next year as the LB4, as a backup, as depth, I'm okay with that. So you may see some of these guys stick around, but hopefully they're being replaced,
Yeah, I don't see this team being built right for at least 3 years, 3 to 4 years.
including these first 2 years or 3 years from now.
3 years, 3 to 4 years from now.
Ooh.
I was expecting at this point that it might be a 1 to 2, but I'm looking by the end of the year to have it really well built. Um, but yeah, nope. The more I look at it, this is and I believe Sheila, in my opinion, Sheila kind of confirmed it for me with in her little speech last week. She's like, well, we're only a third of the way there. Meaning that they have no expectation, if you read between the lines, that they're going to have that it's going to take 6 years for this team to be built right.
Well, and remember, we've talked about it before. It's not just about building so we can go out 1 year and be contenders. It is about building something long term. We want to be contenders every year, right? You want to be the kind of dynasty team that, like the Ravens or the Patriots, a team that is talked about in the playoff conversation every single year. So, yeah, maybe they are taking it more slowly because that's 15 years from now. They're hoping that a certain narrative is formed around the team. I don't think they're just trying to, be a flash in the pan 1 year. Let's make it to the Super Bowl. Like that'd be great. We all want to go to a Super Bowl, but I think yes, they want to be able to be in contention every year for it.
And that's going to take longer than the 6 year contract. If that's the case, it's going to take longer than that.
See, I think they could do it in the 5 to 6 years.
No, because you have to put in there. You not only have to build the house on both sides of the fence. You also have to build the depth in there to be able to handle it, like down the field. Kind of like what the Patriots did for a long time, where they're able to come in year after year after year and be contenders because they have the depth continually building in the backfield.
Yeah, but depth was always transitory. Like, yes, you had depth. In some years, you had better depth than others. And some years, you didn't need the depth as much because you don't have the exact same injury concerns year in and year out. And that's why,
but
yes,
even
they
if
were
you
always.
didn't, yeah, but you
always,
always have the guys as soon as you've got the waiting list in the background for whichever player decides to go out, you just automatically can pop another guy
There's
in.
no team that has the kind of depth to where no matter what player goes out.
The Patriots did it for a long time.
Then they should have won the Super Bowl every single year, and they didn't.
They were contenders in the Super Bowl many, many years.
I'm well aware of the Patriots dynasty. Yes, I know. But the way you're describing that, you're describing a level of sort of preparedness with backups that is no team has, and they didn't have it
Yeah,
either.
there have been a few teams that have had that over the course of NFL history. It's very difficult to sustain long term, but there are teams that have done it for several years, and you see them consistently in the Super Bowl uh, over and over and over again because that depth is well
Right.
established built. You may not be aware that that depth is there, but it's there to
Mm-hmm.
continually. These guys have you're getting the years of experience behind the scenes that a lot of other teams are throwing rookies out on the field right as soon as they get them. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so when you're throwing rookies out there, at the minute you get them, you're throwing them into a wolf's den. You're throwing them to the wolves.
Yep. They
And
play their rookies
it's
too.
either make or break.
I mean, they do have to actually be developed. You do have to play them. The
Yeah,
Patriots do
Steelers
play
is
their
another team
rookies.
that can kind of build up that way. Yeah. So, but yes, but what happens is you throw those rookies out there, and if they're more than likely going to get killed, injured faster, rather than being developed and being ready to go in transitioning from college to the NFL. A whole different story. So that's been a Lions problem. It's been a Bears problem in a lot of ways. It's been an NFC North problem in a lot of ways. We don't do depth in the NFC North. We don't do it well. None of the teams do. The Packers build via the draft, but yeah, they haven't been doing very well lately. Um, and a lot of that problem is the lack of talent at college level. We got Kitty to Kitty. Are you giving your opinion? Come on, you can give your opinion. What do you think of the Lions this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made sure none of my animals are Lions fans. I didn't want them to get hurt. I won't
Oh,
let my kids be Lions fans either.
you didn't get to see it, but there was a meme that went around today, and I had to share it. It was so great that it says, "A woman in labor experiences enough pain, almost enough pain, to be able to understand a Detroit Lions fan for an entire season."
Well, imagine being a Lions fan in labor. You're getting hit
Oh,
from all sides.
they can almost understand the level of pain that a fan experiences during an NFL season with the Lions. But
Yeah, well, at least when you're in labor,
oh,
you only do it a couple times in your life. You don't do it every single year over and over. I guess that's on us. We keep coming back.
okay, so we gotta give our ball out balled on players of the game. So let's start with ball out. Who balled out tonight for you? Do we have a guy?
I'm going to give it to Rodrigo. Just because all the cool things that happened, he seemed to be around him. He brought me a few rare moments of joy in this game.
I am going to give it to Juju Hughes for coming out
Okay.
and filling that spot in for Deshaun Elliott on safety position. So I think he did very well tonight. Uh, something's got to be said positively on the defense sometime. And I think he really gave it his heart and soul tonight. So I'm going to give it to Juju Hughes.
Okay.
Uh, Balled on player of the game. Who got balled on tonight? Who was the top? Who was the top
AJ
guy?
Parker. AJ Parker, AJ Parker, AJ Parker. He has no business being on the football team with those football players. He is just not there. He's just not at their level. It is a bad matchup with every single NFL receiver. Every single one. because he can't keep up.
Oh, I don't even know where to begin with this one for my choice. So much I could say. Could I go with Akuda getting burnt? Could I go with Warrior just being absolutely terrible in the NFL whatsoever? Mm. Could I go with Reynolds, who couldn't catch a pass tonight to save his life half the time?
Ooh, what about the other Reynolds? Craig Reynolds hasn't really done anything this whole season.
Mm, yeah. So, you know what? I'm going to go with Jan Campbell balled out on himself. He balled on himself. That 4th and 2 decision, you got to stop calling the plays, brother. Okay? Stop.
Listen, if I find
Stop.
out he made that call, I will be right there with you.
He did. You saw him yell it on the sidelines. He clearly made that decision. It is a one, and if he tells you otherwise in a press conference, he's lying. I watched the game tape. He literally screamed it out on the sidelines.
What did he scream? Did he screamed out the play call?
To go for it.
Oh no, but it was the right decision to go for it. You had to go for it at 4th and 2, but it was don't throw it to the end zone. Run it. Or
you
throw
know
it to
Ben
Hop.
Johnson isn't going to do a run play? Or going to do a pass play, deep pass? When does that work?
Never. It never works.
Every
That's why
time that I've
it
seen
was such a
Ben
weird
Johnson have to
decision.
make a critical decision, every time I watched Ben Johnson have to make a critical play call like that, he always ran the ball with Goff. He did not deep pass it.
Well, as far as I can tell, nobody's ever made the call to deep pass it. That's why I'm so confused about the play call in the first place. I guess it could be a Campbell call just because I know he makes a lot of calls that I think are really stupid. But I've
Even
never
the
seen him
announcers
do anything like
called it
that either.
it was as a Dan Campbell call. It was a Dan Campbell call. This one blew up in his face. The challenge blew up in his face. That wasn't really his fault. I believe it was a catch, but whatever. Yeah. I mean, there were, it was 2 football moves before he even went off the field with it, out of bounds with it. So that's still 3 moves. So where you get 3 steps or whatever, I don't know, understand.
Yeah, I've never heard that all of a sudden it's not a catch unless you have 3 steps. Yeah.
So
that'll end up being a rule at the end of the season. It'll be named after the Lions. That's what happens to us. They create these weird, obscure rules, and then they have to actually put them in the rule book at the end of the year.
Yeah, I got an education today because there were a few things that I went, really? I have never heard this in my life before. But then, that happens at least one game every season. So who we got next week?
The Packers.
Oh no!
I don't know how to feel about this because I'm not watching the game right now. I'm about to be. I really want to see this game. But from what I've been watching of them this season, they're bad. And I know the Lions are worse, but I would really, really, really like to see the Lions come in and stick it to the Packers. Just once this season. That's all I want to see.
Oh, this is going to be so much fun. So if you had
For who?
To see what's going to happen next week with this whole Packers-Lions situation.
It's in Detroit. It's a home game.
It's in Detroit. So if you had the opportunity, what would be your early prediction?
I really wish I was watching the Packers right now. They look really bad. And it's not just one thing. It's a whole host of things. It's their secondary, it's their offensive line, it's Aaron Rodgers, it's their receivers, it's their coaching. They have a whole bunch of issues right now. I'm not saying they're worse than us, but this is definitely the type of game where us playing at home against a hated division rival, I could see us playing motivated ball.
I'm going to see me
Yeah.
half drunk on the next Lioness Lair.
Listen, I'm picking the Packers because I swore after that god awful Patriots game, I won't pick the Lions again until they prove to me they can win. And here we are a couple weeks later, and they still haven't shown me that they can win. So I will pick the Packers, but this would be a really, really good week for a fun upset.
Please, Lord, baby Jesus, and everybody that's involved in heaven, make this happen because I cannot stand to sit there and watch Aaron Rodgers go. And not only does he say he owns Chicago, to come in there and say, I own Detroit.
Oh, I don't think he has big enough balls to say stupid crap like that in Detroit. He's going to get himself killed. Don't say something that stupid in Detroit. But we play the Bears the week after that.
Yes, and then there will be the Bears at Soldier Field.
That's right.
So
we play the Packers, then the Bears.
So after you get killed by Green Bay, you have to go to Soldier Field.
And what? Kill the Bears?
No. And get killed by the field. And Fields in the field.
Yeah, Fields looked good for 1 week. How did he look this week? Did Fields look like an actual quarterback today?
Bears lost, but I think they really suffered because they did pretty well. It was pretty decent. I think they suffered with that stupid trade of getting rid of Quinn.
Oh.
When they sent Quinn to the Eagles and only got a 4th round pick, which was ridiculous. Roquan Smith, after the trade, broke down at a press conference crying and decided not to really show up in this game today. So it's possible that this guy is going to be on the chopping block. People are expecting it and prepared for it. He's either going to be on the chopping block or he's going to be sat and waited until the Bears can pay him. But I think he's going to be on the chopping block real soon because our polls doesn't like defense whatsoever. So, anywho, if you like this channel, subscribe to the content. We keep it real. It's all love here at Detroit Lions on the Plow. We thank you guys for coming in, supporting us. I know Lady Lionor wants to get to watching Green Bay so she can analyze.
I mean, they're going to lose, right? Like the Packers are about to lose tonight.
Yes, Green Bay better lose tonight.
I want to watch them lose.
We're all FTP all day, every day here at Detroit Lions on the Prowl. Join us again tomorrow for lunchtime talk, Lions lunchtime talk with Kurt and the guys as they share their thoughts and their views for today's game. And until next week, we'll see you next week. You guys take it easy. Embrace the suck, and it is what it is. Till next time.
See y'all next week.
See y'all next week.